Call to order the meeting of the Public Safety Committee for Rutherford County for Monday, January the 27th, 2025. Good to see each and every one of you here this evening. We'll now call for the approval of the minutes, and I'll ask for my Vice Chairman to...
Thank you, Chairman. I reviewed the minutes, found all to be in order. Make the motion to approve as mailed.
Have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes have been approved. Move in to item 2, public comments. Do we have any public comments? No public comments, so we'll move right into item 3. This deals with our EMS and our Weakley Lane, and we'll ask that our mayor come forward this time as well as our director. Brian Gaither has yielded the well to you, sir.
Well, I'm fixing to yield it right back, so thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. And so just real briefly, Brian and I are here this evening to talk to you about what we've already been talking about for some months is additional EMS support on the northwest end of the county, particularly in Weakley Lane. So Brian, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to let Brian describe and define the need and the problem, and then he and I will address the committee on hopefully what we think is a pretty solid solution. So if you don't mind, Brian.
So we talk about this topic every month of how many times we have to send a unit to the north end to cover. And so we've been talking about that for well over a year. So with the property available to us that's right there on Weakley, we had Commander John Engel kind of do a heat map a couple of months ago to where the calls are in Smyrna. And that location would drastically help that end of the county. It's kind of funny whenever we got with GIS and looked at where those stations are up there, the 5-mile radius looks great until one of those trucks goes on a call, and then the second one goes on a call, so that coverage decreases rather quickly. So I know every time we have a staff meeting and I ask them for questions, the first question I always get is, when are we getting another truck in the north end of the county? So hopefully we can begin this process and make that happen.
So to that point, as everybody already knows, and we'll say many, many, many more times, we're now the 4th largest county in the state. As of January 1, according to the UT Boyd Center for Population Studies, 388,909, and we're growing 70 to 100 new residents every day. And so with that growth comes responsibilities to meet the public need, especially public health and safety. And so that's what this is designed to do. And indeed, Chairman Phillips and I were having a discussion earlier. I think in many respects, this county has some catching up to do with regard to infrastructure. And so this is a small part of that. What we're proposing, if you're familiar with the property, it's Weakley Lane and G Street. I think that's right, G Street. And we have about 17 acres there. Currently on that 17 acres is our convenience center that we opened a year ago that was under construction for about 18 months. And then prior to that, of course, Lisa Kroll, the county clerk, has a satellite office there that, quite honestly, she's already outgrown. And we want to address that in this proposal for you tonight. Also, I will be coming to you, Mr. Gaither and I will be coming to you at the next committee meeting of this standing committee, the Forensic Center. But that's a separate issue. But what we want to propose tonight is the construction of a new EMS station. And that EMS station will be modeled after the EMS station we have at Rutherford Boulevard across from MTSU, with some slight modifications that Mr. Gaither, we learn as we kind of go along here, guys, that, maybe we can tweak it, maybe we can make it a little bit better. But we want to get to the point, like with our public safety buildings, where we have this model and we can then just move it from site to site as the county grows. And so I'm going to, with regard to this piece, I'm going to let Mr. Gaither speak to you about what we're doing with this particular floor plan. You have on your iPads two different floor plans. One is the existing floor plan for the Rutherford County EMS station on Rutherford Boulevard, and the other one is the proposed expansion. And I think we're going from 2,000 square feet to about 2,700 square feet, isn't that right, Brian? So why don't you share with them the need for that expansion and why that is and why we're going to do this across the county?
So basically, and Adam Dodd did 99.9% of the work. We took the plan from the MTSU station and we basically added 12 foot onto the back of it. And with doing that, we were able to add 2 extra rooms and a bathroom into that. And it also made the bay itself 12 more foot deeper to accommodate the changes in the chassis that we've had to make over the last couple of years. So the majority of the increase in space, or more than half of the increase in space, is in the bay area, which will allow for us to have some storage there and a washer and dryer in there. So, and the plan was, when we first started, we thought about, we really need 2 bathrooms in this building. But once we kind of started looking at it, we don't know what the future holds. So if this plan is acceptable, we can, if need be, we can put a second truck in there, and there's plenty of space to accommodate 2 crews. Because the next closest station is the one on Enon Springs, and we were talking earlier, we've been in that building for 30 plus years. It's not our building, it's the city of Smyrna's building. I mean, I think pretty comfortably we can probably stay there, but it's not ours to make that decision. So we have had some issues with that building in the past. I think most of those have been addressed, but, you know, if we need to add something else in Smyrna, this will allow us to do that, have the space to run 2 trucks out of this building if need be.
So the floor plan that you have is just it's a sketch or an improvement of an existing rendering. We would still have to secure an architect to do the actual drawings based on the proposal from Mr. Gaither. So again, this is just a proposal for us to do the site work out at Weakley Lane. In addition, we were looking for approval for site work and for an architect to render drawings. Then, of course, we would come back and present those final drawings. But what we're asking for tonight is support for the EMS station, site work for the EMS station, and then site work for Lisa Kroll, the clerk. She's looking to add, I believe, Eric, 25 spaces? She needs an additional 25 spaces because she's just crowded out there because of the growth. And then, of course, we're asking for the site work on the forensic center. And you're going, well, Mayor, why are you doing the site work on the forensic center? Why are you doing it on the parking and the EMS station? And according to Adam Dodd, we can save, if we do the site package for all 3 of these at the same time, the county can save about $500,000. And so it's all about trying to save money when we know we're moving in this direction anyway. Let's go ahead and do that. So we're looking at site package for the 3 facilities and the EMS station for tonight.
Are you, Mr. Chair, are you looking for a dollar amount or just a motion for the work?
So yes to both questions. I've spoken with Adam, and we can give you a dollar amount range. We will not have a final dollar amount until we get the site work done. Because we've already done the geotechnical and the surveying out at the forensic center, so we need to do the geotechnical and the site work for the EMS station and for Lisa Kroll's parking. And so we need to do that as quickly as we can. Once we do that, then we can come back and tell you exactly what the dollar amount is for the site excavation work for all that and the EMS station. We expect the dollar amount to be anywhere between for all of this to be between 3.8 and 4.2 million dollars. And so in anticipation of your question is, Mayor, where are you getting 3.8 to 4.2 million dollars? According to Michael Smith, we have approximately $4.4 million left over of Del Webb money that is currently unused that we would want to transfer to this particular part of the project. So if you're asking me where would we get the money for it, it'd be under the Del Webb that we have moved to Almaville. If you remember, we said we're going to move the Del Webb fire station from 96 out to Almaville Road because it's in more of the western part of the county.
I can appreciate the dual or expansion opportunity for the building itself. At 6:45 this morning, I had to call for an ambulance. It took them a little while because they were coming out of zone. To simply say half the ambulances on the north end of the county were busy at 6:45 this morning. How does that affect every district in here? Well, somebody has to cover, and there's a trickle down all the way down to the south end, to the north end, and this gives us the ability to move forward. So I like that we're approaching this. So thank you all for thinking forward on that.
And in that regard, you know, the growth on the western part of the county is immense. And we quite honestly anticipate, and we've talked about this, having to put an EMS station over in Laverne. We need another location in Laverne, and we know that I think they're building a fire hall or just completed a fire hall, and I think they've got location for us, do they not, for us to do that. So those kinds of things are on our radar, ladies and gentlemen, and I just want to reemphasize, we're almost 400,000 people, and we are behind in infrastructure. But I also want to emphasize, when I and my staff bring to you a proposal like this, we will not raise property taxes, and we will not borrow the money. It's money that we've been able to set aside and save and pay for as we go. We can't say that for our schools, but we can say that for the other needs that the county has. And so we will not borrow the money, and we will not raise property taxes to accomplish these goals.
What timetable are we thinking?
So what I would like is a recommendation from this committee to take it to property management and to budget. Property management Thursday. We were going to property management Thursday, and then we'll go to budget next week, and then hope for full funding for that funding range. I said full funding. That funding range at the full commission meeting, and then the end of February we will be bringing the forensic construction costs to this committee for review, because we will then have all the plans, and we will have a not to exceed number on the cost to construct the forensic center. But that will come in February as a separate item.
And do you anticipate a full cost to construct on the EMS building? Is that included in the full build-out quote, or just wanting to clarify?
So the 3.8 to 4.2 number includes engineering services, site work for EMS, site work for forensic, site work for Lisa Kroll, and the construction of the EMS station.
Any other comments or questions?
And also you have, there are 4 things on your SharePoint. The first 2 were the floor plans of the EMS station. The other 2 were the site layout of where it would fit inside that 17-acre configuration. And so those are sketches. We won't know where exactly how this is going to land until the site work is, site engineering work is done.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Further discussion?
Just a clarification on the motion. I think, Commissioner Oliver, it would be appropriate that this committee forwarded on to property management and then budget with a positive recommendation. That doesn't necessarily mean that we prove it. We'll have another shot at it when it comes to the full commission. But with a positive recommendation, I think that might be the appropriate motion. So is that okay?
That's what I meant.
Okay.
He has said it, and so I just was like, motion to approve. But yes, I have it written down here, and I can say that specifically. I will move that we accept this proposal for site work for forensic, EMS, county clerk and construction for EMS, and forward that to property management and budget with a positive recommendation. That works?
Thank you for your clarification.
Yes.
Your motion.
That's the most perfect motion I've ever heard.
Further discussion?
For Brian, actually. Just on the plans here, looking at, you've got a 1.5 bath, you got 1 shower in the facility. Is that going to be good? Potentially, we know where this is going to grow, and you're going to need to have at least 2 crews at any given time in there.
Yeah, I think it's adequate. You know, we're 24 hours on, obviously, but where the fire is 48 hours on, and we don't get as dirty as they do at times. So I think one shower for, especially just starting with 2 crews, because that's what we currently have in all of our buildings, is except for the new one at Burton Street. They all just have one bathroom, 1 shower.
And for you, should we not look at going ahead and having this hold 2 ambulances from the get-go?
That's kind of the idea, is to plan for the future, but we were trying to fit it within a current plan and draw it accordingly. So we could probably work that into this drawing, but I think, has this plan already went to the architect?
So if you don't mind, so we're going to have this lively discussion now. My understanding, Mr. Gaither, is that this is a 2-bay facility.
Yeah.
Sorry? No, please, Commissioner. I want to make sure you are straight on what we're proposing. It's very important that we over-communicate, Commissioner Phillips, right? So I guess I don't understand Commissioner James's question to Brian. Were you asking if this was a 2-bay or a 1-bay? Because you were talking about ambulances.
I was asking if it's 2-bay on the drawing. I get that. I was asking if we should not also, as we're preparing to do the site work and build this, to also prepare to have, from the very beginning, automatically have 2 ambulances in it, instead of have the chance to grow, because we constantly are sitting out of zone in that direction if we have that preset. Because I have the feeling that this is going to be empty quite often. And I was looking at the shower thinking, and the layout thinking maybe more of a Jack and Jill bathroom type of layout might set up a little bit better when you have both genders needing to shower quickly to be ready to rack again, and kind of just that rotation.
And then one of the drawings that Adam was working on, we kind of messed around with the Jack and Jill type bathroom, but we decided on going this design because I think 1 shower is adequate, and it gives 2 places to 2 bathrooms, but just 1 shower. And then that little MDF closet is behind that bathroom, which is for OIT to put all of their stuff. And so that was one of the reasons we lost that shower in there, was to give them the space to put their technology stuff in so they can secure it.
And if I could say, so, you know, I certainly don't want to get involved in finding out if we need another bathroom or not. What I want to do is I want to get with an architect and take that suggestion to the architect and say, if we wanted to put a second shower in this facility, where would we put it and how would it work and what would be the cost associated with that? I think when we get to hiring an architect, Commissioner James, that's when we can have that conversation. To be honest with you, that's above my pay grade.
Oh,
But I think that's
a
great point. It just needs to be addressed to the architect when we get there.
I thought we already had this was the designs from the architects that we paid for last year.
What we did is we have these architectural drawings, which is Rutherford Boulevard. This proved to be a little bit inadequate in several ways. So what we did is Adam Dodd and some others from our own staff created a floor plan, a proposed floor plan of what we want. But we still don't have their commensurate drawings to accompany this. And so when we get with an architect, said, we need a set of drawings to construct this facility, they'll come here, and then we can have that dialogue. Do we put a second shower in? If so, where'd that second shower go? So we don't have drawings yet, but we will.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because the discussion just kind of triggered a thought and a memory, and I'm hoping I've just overlooked something and not recalling it well, but I thought we paid the $950,000 for the forensic and the EMS architectural designs, and that was done.
No, that was just the forensic center.
I feel like we need to go back and check that. I'm pretty sure it was for both, because that was where Commissioner Beverly and I argued against each other on it.
Sorry. I thought we tied it for the geotechnical and survey work was all for one.
Well, if that's what we did, then we will certainly make that happen.
Okay.
That's not an issue. That's not an issue
Right.
for the county. My memory may have failed me here, but if that's what the commission did, then that's what we'll do.
Yep.
So
The reason
we
being
will
is-
check the minutes on that.
The reason being, we wanted the engineer to understand what our total plan was on that plat, not just, we didn't want to surprise them later saying, thanks for doing this work, now add something else.
I don't think we will check on that. That's not an issue.
I think that's how, but I could be wrong too. It's been a while. I just wanted, it just kind of threw that thought back in the head.
Thank you.
As far as
I vaguely remember the conversation, and so let me, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
let me check on that. And if that's what we'll have, I will find that out between now and Thursday at property management, and we will make the correction at that point in time if that's acceptable to the committee. It won't take me a day to find that out.
That'll work. And
Perfect.
as far as the shower concerned, I just had a thought I wanted to ask, because I could always assume, but I wanted to ask. I was fairly confident that Brian and everybody had gone over with what they would want, what would work best, but you hate to find out after the fact that you should have just asked the question.
Thank you.
I appreciate, Commissioner James, your thoughts on adding that second truck, because one, we've got the expansion capabilities, but by the time this is operational, it very easily could be needed, and we're ready to go. So I'm glad you're already thinking about that.
I suspect that when we start coming out of the ground with this building, if that's what the full commission decide to do, we will probably put in the budget the appropriate trucks, ambulances to cover this facility in the next budget year. So I would anticipate, in some measure, Commissioner Beverly, you would be able to anticipate that coming to this committee.
Thank you all for your work. Let's vote.
All right, anything else? Other discussion?
Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino?
Yes.
Commissioner James? Yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Beverly?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Passes. Director. Got a report? I'd like to have it. Would you like to present it? He feels so good about getting another station. He's just going to overlook that.
Well, I was further down the list, so I wouldn't for sure. I didn't want to wear out my welcome.
We'll just let you do that while you're here, and we get that taken care of. You don't
I
mind.
certainly appreciate it. So for the month of December, we did 3,960 calls, response time of 6 minutes and 56 seconds, 166 DOAs for the month, and 25 of those went for autopsy at a cost of $62,500. We collected $1,084,880. The next page is some in-services and training that we completed, community relation and medical event standby. Our convalescent division did 358 calls. They collected $178,858. Then the next few pages are the the more detailed data. And then 123 times for the month, a call was made in the north end of the county that wasn't made by one of those north end trucks. And then the last page is a thank you note that we received.
Heard the report. Any questions?
Question, please. The call volume you stated, would you say that again? I think I'm seeing something different right here.
3,960. That's the 911 calls.
This
So
is
on that-
4334,
on
that's
that-
something different?
On that more detailed report, it combines the 911 calls and the convalescent calls. So the
Gotcha.
convalescent calls were 358.
Great, thank you.
Brian, could you start adding to the reports, and I'd appreciate it if you could, just how many times apparatus are called out of zones? So we know, or actually, we're sitting out there, so we know, like, we're talking about this Smyrna site, how many times we're having to send extra ones and leapfrogging over there. That way, it helps us gauge realistically how hard we're pulling that string.
Yeah, so the out-of-zone calls is kind of difficult because all of the dispatching is done now by the CAD. So they type in the address, it looks at the unit and sends the closest one. So we don't really operate in zones. But the way we're able to come up with that 123 calls that are in the north end that were not made by those 4 trucks is we take the zip codes there and see the calls made to those zip codes, and then we take those 4 units out. So if another unit other than those 4 go to one of those zip codes, that's where we come up with that 123. Are you talking about north end specifically, or just?
I was just thinking it might be helpful to have a more general knowledge directing, saying, hey, the Rockville Center keeps going into Murfreesboro. We might need something to bridge that gap in between that helps alleviate some of that versus, or, say Animal heads up to Laverne, and we need something. It kind of, I don't know, just looking at those numbers might help us see realistically what we're saying here, where we're seeing in Smyrna, where we have firsthand from a Smyrna police officer who's up there all day, seeing how many times calls are coming from out of area. But I also see what you're saying now about how it's kind of really more of a challenge to dictate that and to determine that. So,
And we used to report that because we operated on zones. So this station, this was their zone. So if the call was made outside of that, it was an out-of-zone call. But now with, if the Rockville station is at the hospital and they're available and a call comes in at one of the medical offices across the street, that truck is going to get that call because they're closest to it. So it would technically be an out-of-zone call, but their response was 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes quicker than the next closest truck.
I see what you're saying. Well, let me digest that information and try to figure out if there's a better way to ask you, and I'll ask you offline more if there's anything that I can, different scenario to come up with the numbers I'm looking for. If not, then I'll just continue like what we're doing. I appreciate you.
Question. Now, when you speak about zones, service zone areas, as far as which trucks are going where, which trucks are supposed to respond to Laverne?
So the zone for Laverne, that truck is our Medic 9. So that is the truck that is stationed in Laverne.
Okay. And so the challenge is that if that truck is busy, then you have to send another truck to Laverne.
They're on a call, then the next closest truck to that call will be sent, which it could be the one that's at Stonecrest, or it could be the one that's on Enon Springs. And that's one thing with the Weakley site, because that has a pretty quick response to Laverne from that building.
Okay. I guess the challenge that I'm having is the conversation is sounding like you're not even supposed to service Laverne. So that's why I'm just like, okay, so,
Oh, no.
you know, when you talk about out of zone, whatever, I'm like, let me get some clarity on this because Laverne is Rutherford County. So that's what I needed clarified.
Those 4 trucks that I talk about, they are the ones that cover north of 840, basically. So once those 4 are out, truck that's out at Walter Hill, because it's the closest to, so they go up Jefferson. for a standby. So if they end up catching a call, then it's the next closest truck. Maybe the one on Fortress goes there to cover.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions or a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed?
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Excuse me for moving you out of place there, but I thought it was only appropriate after what we were discussing. All right, Sheriff's Office report.
Good evening. This morning, the population was 964. This afternoon was 961. Updates on our openings. Communications still has 7 openings. Detectives has 4. Detention has 26, but we have 5 scheduled to start February the 3rd. Narcotic has 4 openings. SROs has 3, and Patrol has 4 openings. Cover some statistics with you. For the month of December, total calls of service was 11,056. Out of those, 2,782 of them was responded by patrol officers with a response time of 10 minutes and 46 seconds. Property crimes the month of December, 6 burglaries, 3 burglaries autos, 17 thefts, 5 aggravated assaults, 1 rape. Narcotics Division, the month of December, 6 total arrests, 1 overdose, $1,368 money seized, $29,160 worth of value of narcotics seized. Detention, the total of 1,031 that was booked in, 1,093 was released. 90,369 meals was served at $1.51 per meal, totaling $136,458. Court security, the month of December, screened 18,102 persons, made 25 arrests, 14 instant reports, 11 state warrants served, 32 civil warrants served, with 31 calls for service. School resource officers in the month of December made 14 arrests, 4 drug arrests, 2 weapons arrests, 3 for trespassing, and they taught 87 lectures to the schools. That's in my report.
Any questions?
I have a quick question. You said on the SROs you have 3 openings.
Yes, sir.
Does that include, because I guess I was made aware, one had put in his notice in at Rockville last week. Is that correct?
That's counting him. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain to me when you say inmates with holds, what kind of holds? What does that mean?
Was that again? Excuse me.
Inmates with holds, 490. What does
They're
holds
held
mean?
by other agencies or that has warrants on them, and they have to serve their time here or finish their cases before they go to other counties.
Thank you.
Questions?
Motion to approve.
Approve. Second. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Your report has been approved. I believe you have about 3 budget.
Yes, sir. The first one is, this amendment is to provide additional funds for overtime needed for employees covering vacant positions in Family Medical Leave Act. This is on the Sheriff's Office side. Requesting take $450,000 from other salaries and wages and place it into our overtime line item.
Motion to approve.
Second. Further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Beverly,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Approved. I believe you have another.
Yes, sir. This amendment is to recognize the revenue and expenditures for the new award financial year 2024 Bureau of Justice Assistant State Criminal Aliens Assistant Grant Award for building improvements to the Adult Detention Center. We plan on using this funds to update the cameras in detention, requesting to accept the $49,032 and placing it into our data processing equipment line item.
Request.
Move to approve.
Second.
Made to approve. And second.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Beverly, Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
So the last one. This amendment is to provide additional funds for overtime needed for employees covering vacant positions in Family Medical Leave Act. This is under the jail. Requesting to take $400,000 from other salaries and wages and placed in the overtime line item.
Request.
Move to approve.
To approve.
Second.
Second. Further discussion.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Beverly, Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Real quick, I want to give a quick shout out or congratulations to School Resource Officer Sergeant Dustin Cox for receiving the Jerry Anderson Hero Award from the NAACP Martin Luther King breakfast last weekend. He cares for special needs children and the underserved children. So I would like to say congratulations to him and thank you for what he does, and along with your entire department and our SROs.
Thank you very much. Dustin Cox does a lot for our department. We're very proud of him. Thank you.
Thank you. Pause. Michael Gregory.
The month of December, we had 265 animals come into the shelter. We had a euthanasia rate of 7.7%. Our live release rate for our dogs was 89.7%, and cats were 91.7%.
Excuse me. Can you speak into the mic a little more for me, please?
Is that better? Okay, I'm sorry. Do I need to start over? Or you, okay. When you figure in our wildlife to our live release rate, we had a 90.6% live release rate. 160 animals came through our surgery programs. 22 cats came through the TNR program. Our officers completed out 1,115 calls for the month, traveling 6,835 miles. Fiscal year to date, we've had 2,355 animals in the shelter, a euthanasia rate of 6.0%, and a live release rate of 91.3%. Our officers completed out 6,581 calls, traveling a little over 44,000 miles. Our rabies exposure and bite report, this does go by calendar year, so we finished out 2024. December, we had 31 bites. One of those was tested, it came back negative. We had 2 other exposures for the month. None of those were sent for testing. So we finished out 2024 with 1 unsatisfactory and 1 positive rabies for the county that was tested. And then the last page of the report is the graph that I give you all just to show the visual of the intakes versus outcomes.
Report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Further discussion. Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. OSHA report.
Good evening, Commissioners. So your OSHA report for December 2024 incident frequency, there was 21. For the year-to-date, 272. Total recordables, 211. Lost day claims, 45. Restricted day claims, 138. Other recordables, 28. On the next page, on-the-job injury claims, in comparison, 22, 181, 2023, 231, and again, 2024, 272. On-the-job injuries incurred dollars, 2022, 655,000, 2023, 790,000, 224, 1.77 million. And on the last page, cause of injuries, Board of Education had 15, County General had 6, Highway had none, Sheriff had 5, Solid Waste had 1, for that total of 6 in County General. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Questions on the report?
Move to approve.
Approve. Second. Further discussion. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Recovery Court.
Good evening. Here's the Recovery Court report for December. Currently, we have 194 current participants. We had 7 graduations and 1 termination. Our current census for our DUI day program, we have 16, and our night, we have 30. We have 23 applications in process. For mental health court, we have 59 current participants with 38 applications in process. For our drug court, we have 62 current participants with 41 applications in process, and Veterans Court, we have 19 participants with 7 applications in process, and that concludes.
Questions on the report? Motion.
Motion to approve.
Approve.
Second.
And a second. Further discussion. Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Report has been approved. Thank you. Probation Report. Haley.
Good evening. On our report for December for probation, you can see that we closed out a total of 146 cases for various reasons, which equaled a total of 129 clients. For the month, we had on active supervision 1,446 cases. With our various classes listed in the second section, we had 71 active participants in any of those classes throughout the month. 23 successfully completed throughout the month. 5 were discharged unsuccessfully. In our Ten Rocks Court, we currently have 18 active participants. For the month of December, our Olive Branch was able to assist 12 clients, and I've just kind of combined that with ones that were assisted with food, toiletry, clothing, just 12 total received some sort of assistance with what we had in the office. The bottom part with our financials for December, we turned over $13,930 to the clerks for payment plans, which brought the fiscal year total so far for that category to $80,748. The amount we turned over for those that didn't have a payment agreement was $3,735, which brought the fiscal year total for that category to $35,285. And that would be my report for December.
Report.
Quick question, please. Can just anyone come to be serviced at Olive Branch program?
If they just walked into the office or someone that was on probation referred them, we would help whoever came in. Usually it is our clients on probation just because they can come in and their probation case manager may ask them, do you need anything? Or they may mention that they're out of a job or, couldn't buy food that week or whatever. But certainly if they referred someone or if anyone else referred someone, it's open. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes.
Questions?
Move to approve.
Approve. Do I have a second? Second. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Report has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Correctional Work Center. Sir.
If you will take a look at our report, you will see our monthly board meeting minutes. Our population after that, it's staying about the same from month to month, maybe increased a small bit. Work release program is still running smooth. It's the same population right now for that. Trash. We collected 7,700 pounds of trash on county roads and 218 bags on state highways. We sent 160 workers out for a savings for the county for approximately $60,500. And that is my report.
Approve.
Second.
Second. Further discussion? In favor, say aye. Those opposed? The report has. Captain. Juvenile detention.
Good evening. In front of you, you should have our report for the month of December. The first item is going to be our board meeting minutes. After that, you'll see our yearly activity report. Of note on this report, the Gibson County, that first $6,000, we received that today. That was for November. So the additional charges from Gibson County that we have yet to receive is going to be for December. And we have reached out to them, and they have stated that they're having some issues with their mail service. But we did receive that November check today. Excuse me. Of interest in the remaining portion of our report is that for December, of the 9 youth that were tested, none of them came back positive for STDs, so that's a good thing. We have our educational reports, and I can answer questions on that if there are any, followed up by the report from the State of Tennessee showing that we have had our annual review and that the licensing consultant has approved us for the next year. Any questions? I'll try to answer them.
Move to approve.
Approve. Second. Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Emergency Services, Public Safety Report. Hart.
Apologize, Chairman. Hopefully in front of you, you have your December 1st through the December 31st, 2024 Public Safety Report. Some of the key items is that school safety, again. And then going back into December is the coordination and planning for our Christmas tree lighting. We have some of the most talented law enforcement, fire, EMS people, we sit down and plan that event. A lot of people may say that we may have a little bit over protection and things like that, but we want to be very sure that these children and our parents are protected during such a great event here that's put on at the courthouse. And so we worked a lot on that and making sure that we have contingency plans put in place in the event that we have some type of incident within our Christmas tree lighting. We also have a lot of partners, and we pull in a bunch of resources during those events. And we do that in all large events. We do a lot of planning that goes on behind the scenes to make sure that we have the resources, the assets that we need to protect our citizens. Also, we assisted in our school principals' tabletops that have been put on safety procedures and that they took on as they approached returning in from the Christmas break. I'd like to include our communications center. They fielded 4,800 calls during the month of December, 1,200 of them being 1,270 of them being 911 calls. A lot of things go on. A lot of people don't know, but a lot of things go on. Murfreesboro and Rutherford County, Smyrna, Laverne, they don't sleep apparently because we continue to run calls in the middle of the night, and they work really hard out there in the field. So I want to include that as well. Our communications center is still fully staffed. I'm very proud of that. And our office as well. That's the end of my report. I'll entertain any questions that you may have.
Questions or a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Approve. And a second. Further discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Approved. Fire and rescue. Farley.
The month of December, we ran 730 calls. Year to date, for the whole year of 2024, we ran 9,271 calls. Countywide, we ran a total of 10,178 calls, and that's the highest call volume we've ever had since we started this in 2010. We had 81 structure fires, 130 brush fires, 240 illegal burns, 119 vehicle fires, 75 hazmat incidents, 22 people were rescued in water rescue. We had 1,114 MVAs. 33 of those entailed extrication, people trapped. 58 mutual aid calls, 267 fire alarms, 5,027 medical calls with us, and Eagleville runs medical calls out in Eagleville. And then for a total of 10,178 calls. Document turned into the Codes Department and the Assessor's Office was 4 structure fires. We have a lot more structure fires, but these are what details homes and stuff. We don't put the barns and outbuildings and all that stuff we have out there. A 119 vehicle fires also. Unfortunately, one alarm was smoke alarm was installed last month. And then the next record is the fire marshal's report for all the incendiary calls we made and the outcome of those. We did unfortunately have 2 people perish in a structure fire this last couple of weeks. It was out off an Old Nashville Highway. The fire started in the attic, and they were unaware until it caved in on them. Next report is the fire marshal's year-end summary for 2023. I think that's probably a typo. He meant 2024. Investigations case opens was 119. There were 4 arrests made. 638 fire inspections were performed. 69 permits were issued, and permit fees collected for the fire marshal's office was $24,265. Final report is the illegal burn report for Rutherford County, and also we have 4 open positions at this time. And that concludes my report.
That's our motion.
Hey, Chief, I was looking at the illegal unauthorized burn report, and I was just kind of curious, is there, on the incident type where it has authorized controlled burning, you've got a couple of them on 24, is there like only a choice between authorized and unauthorized, or is there like, I'm assuming it's like a car fire and accidental, so.
What's the difference between authorized and unauthorized?
Well, I was wondering if there's different tabs to choose for, or is that it's either or those? That's like the only 2 options you have to select from.
Well, I think what it is, a lot of times you'll have people call in a brush fire, and you get there and they have a permit, so it's authorized. If they don't have a permit and they're burning legal, then it's unauthorized. So a lot of times we don't know. They call into the state forestry and they give them a permit number.
And then what kind of fines come with unauthorized burns?
Basically, all our fire marshals can do is cite them to court. And they have to go to court and end up paying the penalty and the court costs.
If no other questions, I move to approve.
Second.
Second, for discussion.
I have a couple questions. Old Nashville Highway fire. Do you know what caused that? Was it a chimney or should have been a lightning strike?
Electrical up in the attic. The house was in bad shape to start with, and it was kind of full inside. It was kind of a hoarder house, and so I think they went to bed and the fire had started in the attic, and they had and I don't know that they had working smoke detectors either. And it just the fire just got so intense, and the whole roof just caved in on top of them.
So do you recommend people putting a smoke detector in the attic?
It wouldn't be a bad idea, but you know, and I don't know, and like I say, I don't know that they had working smoke detectors inside the house, because I think eventually they would have picked some of the smoke up as it leaked through the, through the sheetrock. But I mean, I guess it would be a good idea. But like I say, this is the first time that's ever happened that I know of in my 35 years. And so I feel like that had working smoke detectors inside the house. I think that probably would have alerted them.
Well, I think I know the answer to my last question. The authorized burns. And I go through this every year with a brush pile, have to go on the forestry site to get a permit. Call the fire department, give them your permit number, your location, and y'all aren't wasting time because the neighbor says somebody's burning.
Amazing how many people are terrified of fire. Just, I mean, they can have a small fire of leaves in the yard, and some people it just really, they'll call the fire department. But if they've got a permit on file, there's nothing we can do. And if we do get on the scene, and they don't have a permit on file, and they're burning legally, we tell them you need to get a permit.
So does the forestry division, that part of it, you get those permit numbers or not?
What they used to do, they would post on their website all the addresses that had burn permits, but they changed, and our dispatch would monitor that. And now they've got where it's hard to understand, or they don't put it on there like they used to. So that makes it difficult on our dispatchers. And a lot of times, in the past, when they had access to that, they would page us out and say, be advised, there is a permit for this location. But because somebody called it in, of course, it could have gone out of hand or where we would respond out there. But they've kind of changed it, so it's kind of hard to monitor that now.
Those in favor say aye. Those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. We've had a request from Director Gaither to come forward one more time.
I think in my 30 minutes that I was up here, I would have got it all covered, but I forgot something. So a couple of months ago, we asked to apply for that EMS grant, equipment grant through the state of Tennessee. Well, we were awarded that grant. The state, they're still in the process of dispersing it, but I wanted to come back here, say we are awarded the grant, and start the process of rolling it towards budget and full commission, and then once we get it, asking if the mayor could sign the contract once it comes from the state. Well, it's not, is it a contract to list? Yeah, zero match. It's about $98,831.20.
Just looking for approval to accept the no match. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. I'll call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner James, Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Commissioner Beverly,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Glad you came back.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Any other business? None. We adjourn.